You didn't know him though, did you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these guys. Jason Boutwell from PROResources today. We are going to do another episode of Riding with Jonathan. Welcome, Jason.
Good to have you. Or good to be had.
Good to be had.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You were in the passenger seat of this one. You're probably usually in the driver's seat when it comes to things like this. But I met Jason at a nonprofit conference in Fargo, North Dakota this summer. Actually, I think my son met him first, and then we connected after that. So we're gonna get to know Jason a little bit. We're just gonna have a conversation. We're gonna drive around, see if we could find some cool things happening in Sioux Falls. But Jason, to start out, why don't you let us know kind of what you do? Who are you? What do you do?
Sure. So first and foremost, father of 4, priority number 1. Wife of 29 years.
Wow.
Everything, I think it's, this is obvious statement of the day, but everything that we do professionally is really just to support our families and our family mission personally. And I'll talk a little bit about what we do, but a big part of what we do is support nonprofits. Okay. And we've got a little bit of a for-profit business that supports our From the Heart business. So from the head, we support small businesses that can't necessarily afford their own HR department. If we look at Avera, if we look at Sanford, if we look at any big employers in the Sioux Falls area, they've got an HR department that includes all sorts of areas of expertise.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a small employer, maybe 100 employees or less, you probably don't have an HR department, period, end of story. Well, Sanford doesn't employ HR people because they think HR people are cool. They employ HR people because they know it's good for the bottom line of the organization in a couple different categories. It helps the employee experience to reduce turnover. It's the right thing to do by supporting the employees when they're going through some things, and it's also a little bit of an investment in risk mitigation. So how does a smaller business protect their bottom line and make sure that they've got a good reputation to become a destination employer to help reduce the rate of turnover in their organizations? It's really hard to do. Oftentimes that is a task that falls on the shoulders of the people who should be focused on the business. The CEO, the founder, the CFO, the folks that really have got not the soft skills and the training to work in those categories, or really the understanding and competence in the category of HR. So we provide all of those services to small businesses. Small businesses, shoot, they love their employees. They care about their employees, but how do they demonstrate that? Well, oftentimes that's our first conversation, is when I'm standing in front of a new audience of employees, we'll say, hey, your employer loves you, and we're here to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got a protest.
Yeah, it looks like we got a demonstration here.
Let's see. Wow, there's quite a few.
Wow.
Interesting. This is they've got megaphones. They've got I don't know, at least 50 people on probably the most trafficked intersection in all of South Dakota.
Yeah, this is, I don't know what they're going against, but they're good.
I'd be willing to bet some of them don't know what they're going against.
All right, there you go. There we go. Yeah, hey! Yeah, thank you! Yeah, that was impressive to get that many people on a Thursday morning to come out here. It is nice, it's not as humid. When you were saying cool like HR, I think everybody can agree that the HR department is probably the coolest, most reputable thing in the world. Like when people think HR, they're like, I don't know if I'm cool enough to be a part of that. You think of like The Office with Toby and stuff like that.
It's not marketing, it's HR. That's the cool kids.
That's where the fun is.
Yep.
I mean, when you get buried in all that stuff, that's what people really like. And so it's like these guys are waiting for us.
I told some jokes in my last role in life that were so funny that the HR department called and said, hey, we'd like to hear a little bit more about those jokes you were telling around the office. That was my first exposure to the HR department, so to speak. But our role as an HR outsourcer isn't to be the fun police by any stretch. As a matter of fact, a big part of culture is fun and camaraderie and clarity and direction.
Yeah.
And that comes from the top of an organization, but we can support that. But our role is to really to help organizations understand. It's pretty easy when we're ripping down the road.
Yeah.
To understand what compliance looks like, because there's speed limit signs. First of all, I think this thing has a max speed of 27 miles an hour.
Pretty close.
So you're not going to get pulled over for doing 90 in a 65 or 75. But by contrast, it's really hard to know what are the rules in HR, because the rules change all the time, right? Last April, the Department of Labor came out with this thing that just about nobody's heard of, called the Fair Labor Standards Act, and it had everything to do with the classification of employees as salary or hourly, exempt or non-exempt from overtime. The words were written in a way that was hard to understand, and businesses were rolling their eyes, if they were even aware, saying, "Oh man, how do I stay on top of this?" So that would be an example of where we might help somebody. We'll write handbooks. We'll help implement a 401k in a very cost-efficient fashion. We'll help organizations with no buying power procure some world-class benefits that they can use as carrots to attract and as carrots to retain those good employees. So the types of things that small business used to lack, if a small business is lacking some of those things, the employees go look to the greener pastures of the large employers and get what they need from a benefits perspective from the big employers. And they don't have to do that anymore, because vendors like us can provide those services. Now, an interesting little twist in the nonprofit space is that, hey, nonprofit leaders, that's a lonely position, right?
Well, yeah.
It's a tough role, and our communities need those nonprofits to make our communities be the places that they are, and supporting the people that live in our communities. And the nonprofit leader is oftentimes wearing a million hats. I don't know any nonprofit leaders who got into nonprofit leadership so that they could get really good at IT, so that they could get really good at legal, so they could get really good at HR. They got into it because they believe in the mission, and they want to change the lives of the people who are in their demographic.
Correct.
And we're able to give them capacity back in their day, reduce their risk profile, and just help them with the overall mission by supporting the things that aren't mission oriented. But one of the reasons we get hired in the nonprofit space is because there's potential risk that comes along with terminating an employee who's just not working out. The protected classes that we all know include orientation, include religion, include sex, include age. But here's a trivia question for you, Jonathan. At what age does somebody qualify for ageism? Are they in a protected class because of their age?
Is it 55?
It's 40.
Oh,
I know. I know. That's enough to make you feel old. Pretty quick.
Now I can't fire myself because I'd be like, it's because I'm old.
Yeah. Well, if there's, and you don't have to be a perfect operator in order to avoid being sued, right? You can be a perfect operator and still get sued. It's the cost to defend yourself that sometimes is a drain on, and maybe even nuclear to the mission itself. The term nuclear verdict basically just means that the verdict against the organization was so significant, it was a nuclear meltdown, and the mission and the organization fails to exist moving forward because it was made illiquid by a verdict of maybe a toxic workplace environment or discriminatory termination, promotion, hiring practices. So we're there to help not only the nonprofit leader, but their board of directors eliminate and avoid. Eliminate isn't a word I should use, because there's no such thing as eliminating risk, but really, really significantly reducing and mitigating the risk. Because now you're leaning on us to help you make those decisions, and we carry specialty insurance that pops up in the scenario where there is some litigation. So that specialty insurance we carry says that, hey, if you get sued, nonprofit executive, don't worry, they got to come through us first. So on paper, we become a co-employer of record.
Okay.
And literally, according to the defense attorney, the prosecuting attorneys, according to the IRS, according to the South Dakota Unemployment Department of Labor, we are on paper responsible for compliance in those categories. So we're going to make sure that our partners, that our clients are compliant in those categories as well, protecting them to the best of our ability from those sticky spots.
All right, so let's do, what's your 4-step process? So like if a nonprofit came to you, we're talking about nonprofits because sometimes we're geared to nonprofits for what I do, but it's for all of them. But like, let's say somebody comes to you, like a quick rundown of like, what does that look like when they first reach out to you?
It's interesting because we're very much not a sales organization. We're a little bit of a services organization that might parallel a law firm or a CPA firm. So people are sometimes surprised that we're there to interview them as much as they are to interview us. Because if there's not a fit, I like to say, and it's a little cheeky, but if there's a fit, it's a fact. And we can figure that out together in a half an hour conversation.
Okay.
There's a whole lot more to it. But within that first half an hour exploration conversation, we can determine pretty quickly as to whether or not we're interested in working with the organization across the table from us. As an example, insurance underwriters, property casualty insurance underwriters, are probably a little bit less interested in insuring a vehicle with static seatbelts, no airbags, sketchy brakes. Right?
You gotta drive like your life is on the line in this thing. That is for sure. It is, yeah. It's like there's no room for error. No modern luxuries of like
no auto steer, no adaptive cruise control.
No, and we're right here. Like you're literally about 18 inches away from the front of the vehicle.
I'm 0 inches away from the front of the vehicle. But we're like an insurance company. We're less interested in working with organizations that just don't give a rip about compliance, that don't give a rip about safety. We're self-insured in the category of workers' compensation insurance. So there's a safety ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. We provide all the things that an HR and safety department would at big companies, which includes carrying risk associated with the person that we're maybe engaging. So when we sit down, that 4-step process starts with a little bit of a get to know you.
Yep.
Hey, help us understand your hearts, help us understand why we're at the table. Why did you take the time to meet with us, or why did you take the time to call us? How'd you hear about us? And we're interviewing them, and we're asking for some proof behind the words as well. Let us see your work comp claims history as an example. Just like an insurance underwriter wants to see an echocardiogram before they take out a $2 million life insurance policy on somebody.
Exactly.
So step number 1 is a little bit of a get to know you. Step number 2 is penciling out on paper to see, because we're a for-profit organization that we serve nonprofits and all sorts of organizations. But hey, can you afford our model? That she looked a little surprised.
She wanted to wave, but she didn't want the attention. But we gave it to her anyway.
I wonder if it was the horn that surprised her.
Yeah. Well, it's like iconic. It's like what it is. It's like a rattlesnake. When a rattlesnake, people are always like, "Oh, I heard a rattlesnake," and I'm like, "No." When you hear one, you'll know you heard one. It's not a sound that anybody wonders if it was.
It'd be fun to put like a semi-truck horn in this thing. Little air compressor.
Oh man.
Runs off DC.
It would. Yeah, that would be a lot.
We can talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
I've got some experience in that category.
Okay.
So step number 1 is get to know you. Step number 2 is talking about the financial reality of our services. Sure, we charge for our services, and we advertise a gross price. We're going to charge, I don't know, make up a number, 20 grand a year for our services.
Yep.
But what's the real cost for the organization? Well, let's dig into your books. What did you pay last year to have a handbook drafted? What did you pay a CPA firm last year to do your payroll? Or, maybe what you pay for a software tool to collect time and attendance and perform your payroll on your behalf. What's the value of your time internally? What's the risk mitigation value? And that one's hard to determine. So oftentimes we push that to the side because how much is your car insurance worth? Well, I don't know. Did you get an fender bender? Or were you involved in a vehicular injury accident? Car insurance is worth this much, or it can be worth this much. And same thing is true with risk mitigation that comes through partnering with us. So we have conversations on financials. Okay, there's a fit. Let's talk about finance, and then let's talk about timelines and next steps. And it's as simple as that. But the financial conversation can really take a bit, because we want to make sure that the person we're sitting across the table from sees us as a long-term fit. We're not interested in 6-month or 1-year relationships. We're interested in 10-year relationships that stand the test of time. And we're pretty picky because we're proud of our 96.25% annual retention rate.
Yep.
That doesn't count out companies that folded, companies that sold, like Dots Pretzels as an example, probably our most famous alumni. When they sold the Hershey Company, we didn't lose them as a client. As a matter of fact, Dot herself is filming a testimonial video for us as we speak. She will say that one of the best decisions she made in business was engaging PROResources, but we still counted that as a loss against 100% retention rate.
Well, yeah.
So that 4-step process is really 3 steps, but it can be pretty involved.
It's just that Hershey's isn't going to come looking for your services because they may have 1 or 2 people on staff that could do that.
So when Hershey's was going through the onboarding process of Dots Pretzels, they actually kept us around for about 9 months.
Really?
They said, wait a second, you're doing all of those things for how much money? And they put us through the ringer, asked us a million questions, and said, all right, Dot, until you're fully onboarded, we're gonna continue to retain the services of PROResources. So that was kind of a neat testament.
That was kind of good.
Yeah.
I mean, so you kind of got to work with Hershey's in a way.
We did, yeah. We were still really serving the company known as Dots, but Hershey's was writing us the checks at that point in time.
Well,
so that was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, my there's something that's very true about the term blissful naivety. And before I got into the HR business many moons ago, I thought everybody was awesome. And I still do for the most part. Now I think 99% of people are awesome.
Okay.
But some of the things that we hear and some of the stories that we have to work through with our clients are just, heartbreaking. We see people go through mental health things. And the right thing to do as an employer, both from a bottom line perspective and from a human perspective, is to support your employees. But how do you do that? And when somebody's going through something, having the proper benefits plans in place. We've got a mental health counselor on staff that is there for the employees of an organization and for the leadership of an organization. Because when somebody internal to a business is dealing with a marital problem, financial problem, maybe an addiction problem, or anything in the category of mental health.
Hold on.
Oftentimes, the last thing they want to do is, maybe they're a little bit embarrassed by it. And oftentimes, the last thing they want to do is go to their supervisor or go to their leadership committee and say, hey, I'm struggling with something. So one of the services that we provide is mental health counseling for those that are going through a little something. So back to my comment about, blissful naivety. Some of the things that we see that would fall into the category of harassment or bullying that just have no place in the professional workplace, they're hard to deal with for people that are too close to the fire.
Yeah.
So having a third party step in a very unemotional fashion is the right way to go about it. And that's another function that we provide is how to deal with workplace situations, which unfortunately just they come up, and more people, unfortunately, they seek justice through through the court system, and that entails risk. Employing human beings is risky, and we try to dial that back.
All right. So what's your favorite part about what you do? I mean, because I've met with you a couple times, and you're great to talk to visit with about a whole myriad of things. But what is the favorite thing about your job that you get to do?
I think as humans, we all seek fulfillment, right? We participate in nonprofits, we give to our churches, we mentor and we lead. And those are areas where I've always really enjoyed spending my time. When I moved from IT into HR, I came to discover that professional fulfillment is available if you're in the right vein of business. Your question again was, what's your favorite thing to do? And my favorite thing to do is get a call from a client with maybe tears in their eyes, but a heart of gratitude that says, you saved my bacon. You really helped me through a tough situation. You've made me a better parent, a better husband, a better mother, a better spouse. And that comes in a bunch of different ways. I've had employers tell me, hey, I'm a better Vikings fan. Well, wow, what do you mean you're a better Vikings fan? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I get my Sundays back because I don't have to do payroll myself anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I've had another thing that we offer, that an HR department at a big company offers, is wellness training.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is our wellness coordinator, who was an All-American sprinter and a good friend of mine, All-American sprinter at Augie, was, as a matter of fact, we just drove past Augie.
We did.
Her name, I think, is still on a record board up there. Our wellness team will join a business and have a conversation with a leader about wellness.
Okay.
And oftentimes the business leader, the person who's looking at the bottom line, will cross their arms a little bit and say, that sounds like a bunch of hippy-dippy BS.
Yeah.
Until we start to crack open the facts and figures and say, okay, people, let's think of a blue-collar environment. People who are distracted, or distracted by a stress in their life, or aren't fueling their body all that terribly well. Maybe they've got some brain fog because for lunch they had a Mountain Dew and 3 chunks of beef jerky. Maybe some Slim Jims.
Yeah.
They've got brain fog because they're not feeding their body with the things that it needs to operate with clarity. So we'll talk to a business owner about wellness and its impact on the bottom line. Okay. Well people versus sick people are less likely to take sick days. They're less likely to use medical plans, which is a cost to the business. They're less likely to have an on-the-job injury, which has a cost to the business. And turnover has a cost to the business. So if we bring our wellness team, if we do some stay interviews, if we really help employers understand how to best engage their employees know that, hey, this business really does care for me, mind, body, spirit. And they're less likely to seek a $1 an hour pay raise. And it's not the dollar, right?
No.
It's the promise of greener pastures. The dollar is the excuse they'll offer a business leader, but it's really the greener pastures that oftentimes they're looking for. So the wellness piece is such an interesting twist, because when we talk about the gratitude and the fulfillment that comes from it, and back to your question of what do you enjoy the most about your job, it's seeing people who have, as we pivot from the business leader and say, hey, it's good for your bottom line, and now we point towards the staff with our message and say, hey, who in the room wants to be a better dad, a better wife, a better parent?
Yeah.
Okay, when you get home from work every day at 6 o'clock, do you sink right into your couch, turn on the remote control and fall asleep because you're exhausted, because of your poor nutrition and your poor wellness disposition? And oftentimes the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So what can we do to support you as a business and at the individual level to become a more healthy person? Now that impacts the bottom line of the organization, and it impacts the life of the person who's really embraced that notion. And everybody knows that being fit and being well is important, but what's the first step, right? How do you get into that? And we offer some very pragmatic and tactical tools to help somebody take that first step in a long journey of lifetime wellness. So, okay, what do? We've kind of stepped into a couple different things there, but back to that overarching theme of an entire HR department for small business and small organizations is really how to encapsulate it best.
Yeah, you kind of cover everything. You fill in the gaps that these organizations or businesses need. You kind of just see where they're excelling, what they don't want to do, and then you kind of, within a scope, you fill in the blanks for them and help answer questions they might not have. Because to hire somebody on staff would cost way more money.
Hire some buddies, yeah. A wellness coordinator, a 401k advisor, a benefits advisor to host open enrollment, the back office payroll and the back office handbook creation that is perfectly aligned with the shifting sands of employment compliance.
Yeah.
And then a staff-facing HR director to deal with hard issues. all of those things are hard to find in a singular person. Yeah.
That has that skill set that could do all of that, or would have enough time to do all that.
Yeah. And okay,
the protest might
have broken up.
We might.
I wonder.
What time? Well, they put in their 20 minutes. And they're like done with it, but
hey, that's one of the beauties of construction noise. That's one of the beauties of our great nation, though, is freedom of speech and the opportunity to stand for something that you're passionate about.
Even if it's only for a little bit briefly in the morning. Oh, there they go with their signs. We might go back down that way.
I was in San Francisco many moons ago.
Okay.
And was at a park, and I was wholly impressed by the number of protesters that were in this park. And then, as if they shut off a switch, everybody dispersed in about 10 minutes, and I realized it was because the TV crews had left.
Oh,
the 5 o'clock news.
They got their shot, and then they were done.
They did. Yeah, it was very well organized and impressive.
That's kind of like when I was in DC. There's all kinds of stuff going on there, all kinds of rallies, and good, bad, and ugly, whatever. I think people just do it for fun. I mean, tourist thing.
Yeah.
But it was kind of the same thing. It was like when it was done, it was done. It was just kind of like, wow, how does this start? It starts kind of gradual, but then when it was done, it was like, we're out of here, on to the next thing. But anyway, so yeah, looks like we're done. We're back down on Phillips Avenue.
I love this stretch.
They have revitalized this, and it is so wonderful.
Yeah, it's especially wonderful when it's not February. Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of a different vibe when it's 12 degrees below zero.
People don't linger when it's 12 below out here. They just kind of go. But look at all these parking spots. Like, obviously it's in the middle of the day. Last night these were all full.
The Levitt. I've yet, and I need to. I split my time, I think you know this, Jonathan, between Fargo and Sioux Falls.
Yeah, okay.
So my typical pattern is I'm in Sioux Falls Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I head back to Fargo on Thursday afternoons. And I said, and haven't held true to this, that I'm going to stick around for a Thursday night Levitt session at some point in time and enjoy that outdoor space. And it's just a jewel, along with the river and the steel district of Sioux Falls, that the people of Fargo, I think, would be jealous of if they had a chance to see.
I haven't been to one yet, either because of soccer practice and different things that fall. But yeah, it really is something to behold. I think they were setting up already today for it. But it's free concerts, 50 free concerts or something like that they have. And some pretty big names, and that's awesome to have that.
Do you ever get a chance? I look at your skills and your talent and some of the things that you bring to your clientele. I would imagine that people tap you on the shoulder all the time and say, "Hey, you're a talented MC. You're a talented auctioneer." Just adjacent to your skill set might be emceeing an event at the Levitt. Do you get tapped on the shoulder for things that are just a little bit outside your primary focus?
Sometimes I do, and I'm not opposed to it. I did a Christmas party one time for a big corporation, and that was my first time. I did an auction, I didn't do anything, but I did the man on the red carpet. So people were coming into their Christmas party, and then I interviewed them as they were coming in, and then they broadcast it on the screen, and then I did do the MC, and I did handle all that. I really enjoyed doing that kind of stuff if I could like ad-lib, and I don't have to worry about following a script, so it doesn't look like too scripted, is what I always say.
There is right behind the fear of death, the fear of public speaking is what makes you such a rare individual.
I do get not afraid, but I do get nervous. Like I did one up in Fargo, and it was just a fun mission. Didn't know how it was gonna go, and I was nervous. Like, and that's what I like. It's that fight or flight when you get that thing in your stomach, and it's like you can either go towards it or you can run from it. But I like having that feeling because then it puts you on the edge. You know what I mean? Like if ever I got to an event and I wasn't a little bit nervous,
Sure.
I would wonder, like, are you not taking this serious? Is this not a big deal? Because when I'm up there, I only get one shot at this. And that one was a big event for me. It turned out really well. You know, but people ask, like, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a healthy...
But it's a very healthy thing.
Versus paralyzing fear that most would have.
Yeah.
With a microphone in their face or in their hand. Either one would be paralyzing for most.
Yes, once I say that first word or I have control of the microphone, then I'm good to go. So it's way different. We got a train up here, backing up. So it's way different that way. But I could do some emceeing and do some stuff like that.
We got a waiver.
Oh, did we? Oh, I missed it.
This bus attracts some attention.
It does. It's like people are like, "Wow, did you see that?" I'm just sitting here watching this train.
Well, back to those events. It was so fun to meet your son, and when he just young meaning 11, 12, with charisma and courage. You know, most kids, and I sound like an old guy yelling at the clouds when I say this, but so many kids these days are focused on their hand, right, or on their iPad, and not focused on the humans around them. It was such fun to meet your son, and I thought, wow, this kid's got some good parents. And then 20 minutes later, I met you. Yeah. But your business is really a family affair. Maybe remind me as to how you involve some of your kids in your business.
So I work from home. We homeschool, so I'm with my kids all the time. But when we go to auctions, we also offer registration, check-in, check-out kind of thing, bid spotters, selling raffle tickets, and things of that nature, which a lot of times they have their own volunteers and their own people. But when I bring the team, especially my family, I can tell them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and they're working the whole night. When you bring in volunteers, they want to be a part of that event too. Sure. So they're distracted. Yeah, so they're like, okay, this is what we want you to do. So when they're done with that one thing,
we just got a thumbs up.
Did you?
From that Tesla, somebody driving a brand new car with
they like it.
All the tech is a little.
No, I'm not going to run into her. We got.
Sorry.
We got a lot of room. But so then we bring in ours. But like my daughter, I had a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old. I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they all can work. Even down to when my youngest was 4, he was greeting people at the door and showing them where to get into line and where to do things. Now, people aren't expecting a 4-year-old to be doing that and telling them that stuff, so it takes them a second to realize that there's somebody at their feet doing that. Yeah. But I do incorporate them. I do want them to be able to talk to adults and to handle situations like that, because in the real world, they don't teach you that in school, how to deal with things of that nature. When something comes up, you have to use critical thinking, get it done, we'll discuss it later, but find a solution and go from there.
Well, so much of leadership in the for-profit and the non-profit space really boils down to courage and convictions. And so we talked a couple minutes ago about the fear of public speaking, but even the fear of regular adult conversations, I think moving forward is going to be a bigger issue. And your kids the bar is lower now than it ever has been, and your kids are going to hop right over that thing. It's going to be fun to watch them.
Yeah, and my kids have been going to meetings since they've been babies, because I was a stay-at-home dad originally. So the first event I think my youngest was 6 months old, and so I walk into this meeting with a baby, and you got to do what you got to do, and it just happened to be with March of Dimes, and I don't think they heard a word I said, but they really like Phoebe.
Did you get the gig?
I got the gig. I got the gig, and they're like, I don't know what we're doing, but here, let's just sign this, and she's gonna keep coming back. Same with St. Francis House. St. Francis House came about that my kids were very small, because I've been doing it like 15 years, and so Phoebe was again a baby, Elliot was a baby, the other ones were non-existent. Now they all have a role in that event, because Julie Becker, who runs it, her kids are all married now, and they're out, and they used to do it. So now she has my kids helping with the awards, bid spotting, greeting. The young two just walk around with bubble guns and shoot the crowd.
Yeah,
and just kind of hype people up. And so that's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, bring your kid to work day.
Yeah.
Versus I just bring my kids to work everywhere.
Yeah.
What a fun gig.
And for the record, I do pay them, but so it's not like you have to.
The IRS is watching.
In case they're like the child labor laws and stuff like that, they are happy about it, and they like to do it because to them it's like a great time. Like they don't see the stress and the pressure and stuff like that, which is fine, which is awesome. It is a good time to be able to be with them and to take them to like the conference, which to some kids that would be super boring, but my kids are begging to go to that and meet people like you and go to the booths and see what's going on.
Yeah, back to your comment about, I'm not sure if anybody at the March of Dimes heard anything I said. Yeah. My most memorable takeaway from the North Dakota Association of Nonprofits event was meeting your son. I mean, that's what I'll remember 5 years from now, because he was such a light and just such a joy to be. You know, shoot, I was proud of the kid, and he's not even my kid.
Well, yeah, and I was talking with other people, and he jumped on the microphone because another vendor asked if he would announce their raffles because they didn't want to go and do it, and they didn't really have permission to do that. And so Elliot just went up, turned on the microphone, got everybody's attention in this room, and then did it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I'm like, awesome. I recognize that voice. That's my son. And so the future looks pretty bright. I mean, and he's not going to have that fear of just doing what needs to be done, and that's kind of what Larsen Larsen does, is we get the job done. I've had my bid spotters at one event, they were in the kitchen making coffee because the coffee was empty and nobody was around, and so they went in there and started making coffee at this big kitchen. And then somebody approached them and said, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We're out of coffee." They're like, "Well, we can do that. You're not around. We need coffee. That's what we do." So we got their attention. They didn't want us doing it. So
it's I imagine a little difficult for you to answer this question. What is the impact on a DIY approach versus a higher Larsen and Larsen approach? Can you quantify the impact of having a professional auction and event host run and facilitate the night's events on game day?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what the difference is sometimes in the thousands. Like the one I did in Fargo, for instance, I asked them what they wanted, and they were looking for, they wanted me to raise $250,000 in a paddle raise. And they almost made, like, the whole event almost made like $1 million last year. So I started this paddle raise. I was able to get them $750,000
on the paddle raise
alone.
Okay.
And the thing is, they were telling me how they wanted it done, how the guy before had done it, and they go, "This is what we want. We want you to speak in between every level and do all this stuff." And I said, what if we don't and we do it this way? And so they said, "Yeah, we'll do it your way." And they were just with their mouths open on the floor.
Wow.
And somebody had originally said, "I will match everything."
Oh boy, they didn't know what they were setting themselves up for.
So that ended up being $1.5 million.
Wow.
And last year I think they raised $250,000.
Wow.
And I have other scenarios where sometimes it's like that, because what I do this every day. I mean, I'm in this, I dream about this, I think about it. I've done a ton of events, and it does make a difference to have somebody up there to be able to read the room. A lot of what we do is psychology. A lot of what we do is knowing when somebody wants to bid more and going, or when somebody says no, we stop. You know, just reading the room of how to get people to bid, how to connect with the room, how do you get 500 people in this room to say yes and to be on the same page, to have a great time and want to be a part of this. I mean, that's just, it's a cool thing. It really is. So
yeah, sounds like an awesome thing.
All right, so as we're wrapping this up, Jason.
Oh, real quick, I'm getting a phone call. Can we put it on Bluetooth real quick?
Yeah, you can.
I'm kidding.
It's not around.
No Bluetooth in here.
Oh, they wanted to. if money wasn't an issue and you could do anything, I'm gonna wave at these people because they're walking. What would you do?
Okay, wait.
If you have all the money in the world, you don't need any money. You can do anything. You can walk dogs.
Yeah.
Whatever. What would that be?
Oh boy,
what would that look like?
You know, I think a lot of people have different answers for this question.
Oh yeah.
There would be a little bit of selfishness.
Yeah.
But I think if I had, and I'm gonna steal a line from Dave Ramsey on this, but if you earn like no other, you can give like no other. If you have like no other, you can gift like no other. And ultimately, you know, I read a book a while back called The Happiness Ratio. And it talked about how human happiness doesn't have anything to do with weather. Thank goodness for those of us that live in the Dakotas, right?
Correct.
It doesn't have anything to do with material goods. No, there's a hierarchy to that. You need food, you need shelter, but after you own a pontoon boat, you know, what do you need above and beyond that? I think that's a country music song, right?
I think so.
Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy me a boat. But if I had all the money in the world, I would be so incredibly blessed to be able to share that with others.
Yeah.
And that's where that the book, The Happiness Quotient, talks about how the happiest people in the world are those that serve others.
Okay.
Are those that are able to gift and see the material benefit that is bequeathed on others. And I think, you know, to those that have that opportunity, we're called to do just that. And I'm looking forward to that. And you know, shoot, I do it today. Yeah. So it's not a future thing. It's a today thing.
It's a present thing. You just do it on a different level than what you would, but you do what you can do now. Yep.
But what you can do is always a reflection of, you know, what you have available. And you know, I've been super blessed, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity to, you know, to share. God, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I paused out just admiring.
No, I usually don't come up here, but I wanted to do it because we got the camera still rolling, so I wanted to give the
and this whole Steel District area. Yeah. My goodness, what an awesome overlook, and just I mean, it looks big city, doesn't it?
It does look big city, and it's. When I grew up, we couldn't even come down here on our bikes. We weren't allowed in this area of downtown. We can only go to the other side.
Yeah, they've done such a great job.
And so it's like, here, I can pull in this parking spot. And you can see the construction guys across the way. Yeah. And the caution sign.
I think they're diverting the falls for a little bit here while they work on some wall support infrastructure. Yeah.
It looks like they're redoing the mill. They're gonna recreate the mill. But all right, so you're gonna give back, and you're gonna continue. You are giving back. You are doing things, and you are just would continue doing that. So, Jason, I thank you very much for your time. It is always a pleasure to visit with you. As an HR guy, I can say I would talk to you for a long time.
Hey, don't be afraid of the HR.
No, I think they get a bad rap. I think there's like one or two people out there that ruined it for everybody. But
we make a good punchline.
Yeah, that is true. So, Jason Boutwell, he is from PROResources.
PROResources, yep.
All right, so if you need him, I'll have his information and everything down below in the description. But thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for riding with us, and we'll see you on the next one.